Today I'm going to show you guys not one, not two, but 3 Lamborghinis. One of them is a Lamborghini hypercar. The next is a first ever all-terrain supercar. And the third is the most powerful Urus ever made. I'm going to show you guys all 3. This is a supercar that nobody saw coming, but it's here. It looks amazing, and it's sold out. You guys might have heard of the term ATV. I'm calling this the ATS, Lamborghini's first ever all-terrain supercar. And it's called the Lamborghini Huracán Sterrato. Let's kind of go step by step. Obviously, first of all, what even is this thing? This is an off-road Huracán Evo. And I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw this because it's such a strange mix. It's like an extremely expensive supercar priced at around $240,000, but you're meant to drift it off-road and get pebbles flying. Luckily, they protected it. You're gonna see these little armored pieces everywhere. On the outside, this entire car has a skid plate going on underneath it to protect everything. Let's kind of go step by step on the actual features on the outside. I think the most noticeable is obviously the headlights on the front now. And these are powerful. They don't look that powerful, but they are. But in Europe, these are not allowed. But anyways, for the rest of it, the car is very different. 30 millimeters more that you get in terms of width, and in the back, 34 millimeters. The car is also 44 millimeters higher up. The ground clearance is actually higher up than the BMW 7 Series. So this is the first ever Lamborghini supercar that doesn't have you sweating when you hit a speed bump. Let's continue through the car. What I like is the new kind of detail that you see on the paint job as well. 63, that's obviously a very, very important number for Lamborghini, founded in 1963. Of course, the colors are cool. When you go around to the side, you now have roof rails, which is uncommon. They say Sterrato, very elegant. You can actually put on 32 kilos of whatever you want on top of this. More than 32 kilos, I don't know what happens. Maybe it collapses, maybe not a good idea. Also, this is kind of like something that you've seen from the STO. It's the hood scoop. And the reason why they need this, it doesn't just look cool, it's actually functional. Because if you guys remember, the normal Huracan has the intakes on the side. But then what happened is when they started testing out the car, you know, where it's supposed to be tested out, so on the dirt track, a bunch of stuff started flying in. So sand, pebbles, rocks, all kinds of different junk. This gives it some breathing room. So the dirt will kind of flow through the sides and the back, but the top should be more or less clean oxygen. And again, you're able to drive this off-road, unlike the normal Huracan, because if you tried that, car will get destroyed. So, what I like is the exposed bolts, you know, like they could have done this in a million different ways. The exposed bolts, you know, make it feel more aggressive. The reason why they had to add this piece and make it wider wasn't for more stability. It's actually to support the tires, because these are new all-terrain tires by Bridgestone. And in order to fit these are so wide that they needed the car to literally be wider too. All right, so go to the back. This is the part that looks the most like a normal Huracan, but the skid plate is visible. You see that? This is kind of the rear piece, and it connects with that. All right, on the back, you know, engine cover has always looked cool on the Huracan. This part right here, if you look at it and you don't know what this is, it looks a bit random. Ordine di Ascensione. That basically translates to order of ascension, and the 1, 6, 5, 10, etc., is the order of the cylinders firing away. So it's the first cylinder, the 6th one, the 5th one, the 10th one, then the 2nd, then the 7th, then the 3rd, then the 8th. I think that's pretty cool. It's a nice little detail, it's a nice little touch. The engine is a naturally aspirated V10 that produces 610 horsepower. Again, the Huracán Evo does about 630 horsepower, but a little bit less oxygen results in a little bit less power. Anyways, let's take a little look at the inside. When you open the door, you see something. There's a little badge right there. 1 of 1,499. Only 1,499 will ever be made, and they're all sold out already. The rest of the car is very familiar. You see that? Same as the Huracan. The inside is a little bit different. Alcantara everywhere, and a lot of carbon fiber detail. This is kind of like matte carbon fiber. And the door handles are no longer like those kind of normal handles. It's actually a strap, very off-roady. Let's hop inside. Now, I actually was looking for things that made the interior different, and to be honest, there isn't much, but something that's very noticeable when you get inside is that the drive modes no longer have Corsa or track mode. It's now Strada for like street mode, Sport, and Rally. So what's interesting is that this rally mode is actually now on the Lamborghini Urus Performante. So yeah, it's kind of the off-road mode, which gives you a little bit more kind of slippage, a little bit more slippity slip when you're drifting around the sand. Apart from that, the inside is very familiar. You obviously have the kind of fighter jet style start-stop. This, now I saw sgancio, and I don't speak fluent Italian, but I was like, I don't even know what that means, sgancio, but in the end it just means release. So when you press this, I have one too, it's your seat adjustment. And then one little detail that I never picked up on, looks like nothing, right? The cup holder. I thought it was pretty interesting. And then you just push it back in. Very elegant and very necessary. I remember when supercars used to never have cup holders. It was infuriating. Anyway, so let's drive it around. Let's actually get out of this parking space. Probably the biggest difference when driving this Huracán is, look at that, you see that? Speed bumps. We got 2 of them. Watch this. No problem. Usually I'd have to slow down, hit it at a like diagonal angle, be very worried, heart rate's bumping. But this is fine, this is great. Just apart from that, the driving experience is very familiar to the Huracán. Next up, the most aggressive Urus Lamborghini has ever made. It's called the Lamborghini Urus Performante, and it looks a lot cooler, it's faster, it's lighter, and it's got a lot of little details that I'm going to show you guys. First thing you notice is that everything is going to be a little bit more intense and sporty. You got a lot more carbon fiber. The entire bonnet is carbon fiber, but this part they just kind of painted over it. This is what it actually looks like underneath the paint. All this is carbon fiber. The roof is carbon fiber. That's actually an option that we got. Doesn't come standard, but it's still carbon fiber. Carbon fiber side view mirror cups, front splitter, and you'll see in a second that it's got carbon fiber on the inside, on the back, just about everywhere. They've actually lowered the weight of this car by about 50 kilos, and that's important because it's got about the same amount of horsepower as the Urus S at about 657, but by being lighter, it's actually lowered the 0 to 100 time by 0.3 seconds. So the Urus is about 3.6 seconds, the Urus S was 3.5 seconds. This one does 0 to 100 in 3.3 seconds. That's an SUV, by the way. Smaller details, the front has this new kind of shape that we've seen Lamborghini do recently. And what I also like is this very, very subtle line here. So normally the Urus just kind of has a flat line going across the front. Now it's got like a jagged edge. Looks more sporty, more like pointing forward. In general, they've done a good job of just making it look better because this little jagged edge kind of connects well with this line here. When we go to the side, you'll notice, okay, 23-inch rims. The 22s are standard. And one thing you can't see, but they've changed, which is huge, is actually the suspension. Because the previous Urus had air suspension, which is great for like adjusting your ride height depending on your drive mode. Now, this is a Performante, and they said, you know what, forget about all that. This is a pure performance car, so they've replaced the air suspension with coil springs. And by using stiffer coil suspension, what you get is a more responsive drive. Continuing on the side, on the carbon fiber, little Performante badge to let everyone else know, just in case, that you've got the upgraded Performante and you paid about $35,000 extra. This in total will be about $270,000. And the version that you're looking at right now easily has an extra $70,000 on it. It's got options all over the place. I'm guessing that what you're seeing here is about $330,000 to $350,000, which is not cheap. In the back, you actually have rear wheel steering, which was pretty cool because I was driving behind this car and I could see the wheels turning. The rear wheel steering allows you to kind of change lanes and kind of change direction at a much faster speed. And this is the widest part of the car. This car is about 16 millimeters wider than the base Urus. At the back, one of my favorite features in the entire car, you now have a Krapovic exhausts as standard. That means that no matter what option you get, you're getting the Krapovic exhaust. And you can tell the difference because when you turn this car on, it sounds amazing. The Urus already sounds great. This car sounds, wow, like freaking incredible. The amount of pops, the pippity pops, pop, 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 pop. That sounds so good. Just the pops that they got. They figured out the pop formula because it sounds amazing every time. Up here, this spoiler is new. It actually generates 38% more downforce. They got an extra little carbon fiber spoiler right here. And across the back, more carbon fiber strips with the Lamborghini badge. Okay? Back seats, everything is Alcantara leather, everything. I like the little pattern right here. No Performante stitching, surprisingly. I thought that they would say like their Performante. It doesn't. But in general, this car is comfortable. You got the Alcantara even on the door. All this is Alcantara right there, matched with a little bit of exposed matte carbon fiber. Red details, makes everything look much more aggressive. And a Bang & Olufsen sound system on the car. Obviously, the best part about this car is getting inside and driving it. So there's a few interesting things. First of all, yeah, the inside is very familiar to an Urus. If you've hopped inside one before, very familiar. The steering wheel is now completely wrapped in Alcantara leather, completely. I mean, this end to end is Alcantara. You can see the matte carbon fiber going end to end, even on the door. And then what's interesting is when you look at your drive selection mode right here, your Anima, you have Strada, Sport, Corsa, and Rally, which is new. Rally is actually what you get with the Sterrato. And basically what Rally mode lets you do is it gives you a little bit more slippage when you're driving on dirt, lets you kind of like drift around a little bit more for the peak performance around kind of sandy turns. I love this piece. I've always loved this kind of fighter jet style interior that Lamborghini kind of goes for from the start stop like that. That's super cool. Always have loved that. And your reverse is just this gigantic handle right here like that. I mean, that's your reverse, and it feels like you're just backing out of a plane. By the way, if you're wondering where we are, we're in Doha, Qatar. It's pretty cool. Look at that building in the shape of a U. We parked here because you should be subscribing to this channel if you haven't subscribed already. So make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's take it for a little bit of a drive. I was just driving the Lamborghini Huracán Sterrato literally before getting in this car, and now when I hopped inside, this feels like a palace. Like when you sit down, like you can actually feel the comfort and the squish from the seats. Again, that's like obviously like a pretty extreme comparison after having come from an Huracan, but yeah, this car is so comfortable and so nice for the amount of power that it has. But actually, look, here's a good little start-stop opportunity in Sport. That is crazy. After taking the Sterrato and Performante out, it was time to look at Lamborghini's brand new hypercar, the SC63. Some of you guys might know it as the LMDh. This is the first ever appearance at the top class of the FIA World Endurance Championship for Lamborghini, and we got to go behind the scenes for the race. The SC63, or the LMDh, is the most advanced racing car ever produced by Lamborghini, and the look of the hypercar has the signature Lamborghini Centro Stile, with all the standard details of the Sant'Agata Bolognese cars. So what even is an LMDh? LMDh stands for Le Mans Daytona Hybrid. This is the hybrid hypercar category of the race, and it sets a budget cap of $1 million per car for every team. That means nobody can spend more than $1 million on their car. First of all, this makes it extremely competitive, but it's also great for newcomers that want to get into racing without financially destroying themselves. We actually revealed this car back in 2022 based on research and rumors alone. And something that I mentioned back then is I believe they would eventually make a road-legal hypercar version of the LMDh. Something that would kind of look similar to the Aston Martin Valkyrie. It's 2024 now, and based on the latest rumors and reports, it's starting to look more like we could in fact eventually get a limited edition collector's version of this car. Just not street legal. Something more for like a lucky few to enjoy on the track.
So we're inside the Lamborghini garage, and they're about to do a pit stop. Kind of tempted to go and help out, but you know, would be unfair.
Lamborghini hopes this car will eventually be a serious competitor at Lambos and send a message to the world that while racing has never been a focus for the company, they've got the brains, the experience, and the drive to compete among the best in the world if they want.